Hello everyone! Now that you know how to add and subtract integers, we will now be talking about multiplying and dividing integers. So for your learning target, I can multiply and divide integers. First, let us know how to multiply integers. In multiplying integers, we multiply the integers as if they are whole numbers. If there is an odd number of negative factors in the equation, then the sign of the product is negative. But if there is an even number of negative factors in the equation, then the sign of the product is positive. Let's have some examples to understand this better. First, negative 3 times negative 5 equals n. Again, in multiplying integers, we simply multiply the integers as if they are whole. So 3 times 5 will give us 15. To identify what the sign of our product will be, we just have to count the number of negative factors. We have 1 negative factor and 2 negative factors. 2 is an even number, therefore the sign of our product is positive. So when you multiply negative 3 and negative 5, the answer is a positive 15. Next, negative 2 times negative 7 equals n. Again, in multiplying integers, we simply multiply the numbers as if they are whole. So 2 times 7 will give us 14. Next, we will count the number of negative factors. Negative 2 is a negative factor, and negative 7 is also a negative factor. So that means we have two negative factors. And 2 again is an even number, therefore the sign of our product is positive. Next, we have 3 times negative 5. Again, we'll just simply multiply the numbers as if they're whole, so 3 times 5 will give us 15. Then, to identify the sign of our product, we'll count the number of negative factors. 3 is a positive integer, negative 5 is a negative integer. So we have here only one factor, which is negative, and 1 is an odd number, so that means the sign of our product is a negative. Okay, so 3 times negative 5 will give us a negative 15. Another example, negative 2 times 7 equals n. Again, we'll just simply multiply. So 2 times 7 is 14. We have here one factor, which is negative, and 1 is an odd integer, or odd number rather. So the sign of our product will be negative. So negative 2 times 7 is equal to a negative 14. Now, how about if we have three factors? Okay, so the rule is just the same. We multiply the numbers. First, we multiply negative 2 and negative 7, and that will give us 14. Then we still have to multiply it by 3, and 14 times 3 will give us 42. Okay, so 2 times 7 times 3 is equal to 42. Now, all we need to do is to identify what the sign of the product will be by counting the number of negative factors. Negative 2 is a negative factor, negative 7 is also a negative factor, and the other factor is a positive integer. So that means you have two negative factors. 2 is an even integer, so the sign of our answer will be a positive integer. So, negative 2 times negative 7 times 3 is equal to a positive 42. Also, if you will multiply negative 2 and negative 7, this will be equal to a positive 14. Because in here, negative times negative, you have two factors which are negative, then that means it will result to a positive integer. Okay, then when you multiply positive 14 to positive 3, since both of them are positive, there's no negative integer here, so the result will be equal to a positive integer. Next, what if we have 4 times negative 2 times 5 equals n? Again, we multiply the numbers first, so 4 times 2 is equal to 8 times 5, that is equal to 40. To identify the sign of the product, we simply have to count the number of negative integers in our factors. This is positive, this is negative, and this is also positive. So all in all, we only have one negative factor. Since 1 is an odd integer, that means the sign of our product will also be negative. So the answer is a negative 40. If you do it this way, 4 times negative 2, this is positive and this is negative. So when you multiply positive and negative, that will equal to a negative integer. So 4 times negative 8 is equal to a negative, or 4 times negative 2 is equal to a negative 8. Then when you multiply negative 8 to 5, this is negative and this is positive. So the result here will also be negative because you have one negative factor. Okay. Now let's proceed to division. In dividing same-signed integers, we divide the integers as if they are whole numbers and write the quotient as a positive integer. In dividing different signed integers, we divide the integers as if they are whole numbers and write the quotient as a negative integer. So basically, the rules in multiplying and dividing integers are just the same. Okay, so let's try. Negative 12 divided by negative 3 is equal to n. 12 divided by 3 will give you 4. This is negative and this is also negative. Since they are same-signed integers, then the answer will be a positive integer. Also, if you will count the number of negative integers here, you have 1 negative, 2 negative integers. So that means since 2 is an even number, then the sign of the answer will also be, or will be, positive. Another example, negative 21 divided by negative 7. So 21 divided by 7 is 3. This is positive, negative and negative. Since they are same-signed integers, the sign of our answer will be positive. Also, if you will count, we have 1 negative, 2 negative. Since there are 2 negative numbers, then the sign of the answer will be positive, since 2 is even. Now let's try negative 45 divided by 9. 45 divided by 9 is equal to 5. They are different signed integers. One is negative, the other is positive. So the sign of our answer is a negative integer. Okay. Also, if you will count the number of negative integers here, we have 1. And 1 is an odd number. Therefore, the sign of the answer will be negative. Okay, another example, 144 divided by negative 12 is equal to a negative 12. Okay, they are different signed. One is positive, the other is negative. So the sign of the answer will be negative. And again, we only have here one negative integer. One is odd. So the sign of the answer is negative. How about if you have a combination of multiplication and division? Again, same rules will apply. Okay, you just have to perform the given operation following the MDES rule, or the GEMDAS rule. In the GEMDAS rule, M and D, whichever comes first between the two, will be simplified first. So in here, we will multiply 12 times 3. This is 36. Both of them are positive, so the answer will be positive. Then we still need to divide it by negative 6. 36 divided by negative 6 will give us 6. And the sign is negative since they are different signed integers. Also, if you will look at our original equation, counting the number of negative numbers here, we only have 1. 1 is an odd number, so the sign of the final answer will be a negative integer. Another example, negative 42 divided by 6, that will give us 7, and the sign of the answer is negative because they are different signed integers. Then you still need to multiply it by 6. 7 times 6 is equal to 42. Since both of them are negative, then the sign of our answer is positive. Also, if you will look at our original equation, if you will count the number of negative integers here, we have 1 and 2. 2 is even, so the sign of our final answer should be a positive integer. Okay, and that's it for our lesson for today. Thank you for listening.